Happy New Year, everyone. It's 6 in the morning here in Singapore, 11 in the evening in London, and 9 p.m. in the Brazilian capital, Brasilia, where the right-wing populist Jair Bolsonaro has been sworn in as a new president. In his inaugural speech, he promised to revive Brazil's economy and clamp down on corruption and violent crime. He also said he'd liberate Brazil from socialism and political correctness. But Mr. Bolsonaro is a deeply divisive figure whose homophobic and misogynistic comments have angered many. Katie Watson has more from Brasilia.
A historic day for Brazil, one that even Jair Bolsonaro and his fans probably never expected could happen. But he made it, and for the next 4 years, this will be the man in charge of Latin America's biggest economy. A man who's promised to lead Brazil down a very different political path to that of his predecessors. In front of dozens of world leaders and amid cheers from his supporters, he was handed the presidential sash. And once again repeated his campaign promises of changing the way Brazil does politics.
Os privilégios e as vantagens precisam acabar.
Corruption, privileges and unfair advantages have to end. Favours to certain parties must not go on. The government and economy have to serve all of the nation.
Thousands came to see Mr. Bolsonaro take power. Dressed in the colours of the Brazilian flag, they shouted support for the man they call a legend.
After 13 years of a very corrupt government in Brazil, so now we have a hope that with Bolsonaro we will clean up.
He wants to unite families, not divide. We are not black, white, poor or rich. We are a nation.
For people in this crowd, Bolsonaro represents change, a fresh start for Brazilian politics. But his fiery rhetoric during the campaign means many people are worried, especially from Brazil's minority groups, about what the next 4 years will mean for their future.
For the country's many indigenous communities, Bolsonaro represents a huge threat. He's made it clear he supports the powerful and lucrative farming industry and said he won't give a centimetre more land to the indigenous once he's in power.
We're left worried whether he'll try and finish us off or give us the land we deserve. He supports landowners. They're more valuable to him than we are.
As Mr. Bolsonaro gets to work, his to-do list to fix Brazil is long. His priority, he says, is bringing back order to this country, promising to rule with an iron fist to make Brazil great again. But there are plenty of doubters about how he's going to achieve all that he's promised.
And Katie Watson joins us now live from Brasilia. Katie, what is the blueprint of the new Brazilian president to stamp out corruption and crime?
Well, I think the future for Brazil is very uncertain. What we do know is that his presidency will be a rejection of everything that has come before. So, as you mentioned, corruption. He wants to stamp out corruption that has been very endemic in Brazilian politics until now. How he's going to do that, how he's going to be any different from all of the politicians that have come before him, it is anyone's guess. And that's probably going to be one of his biggest challenges, because it's been his biggest promise on the campaign trail.
And the new Brazilian president, Katie, said that he would allow citizens who do not have a criminal record to own guns.
Well, that's been another of his big promises, is loosening gun laws, allowing, as he said, upstanding citizens to be able to defend themselves from the bad guys. It was a very controversial point of his campaign, the idea that he thinks that's going to tackle the rising problem of violent crime here in Brazil. Many people fear that his policies will only make things worse. But it's been a strong campaign promise right from the start. It won him millions of votes, and that's something he's very committed to doing.
Katie Watson joining us live from Brasilia. Thank you so much for joining us.